In my time of playing fighting games and creating content, I genuinely don't think I've ever found a website or tool that is more useful for learning character matchups than this one. In this video, I'm going to show you a brand new resource for learning Tekken 8 matchups that is going to be the backbone to all of my future matchup practice, just because it's that good. Not only am I going to show you this resource, I'm also going to show you why I love this website so much by doing what I believe it's meant to do, learn a matchup. Stick around for tips and tricks I like to use when learning specific matchups and how this website can tremendously help out the difficult process of learning annoying character matchups. Let's get into it. Alright, so we're over on the front page of okizemi.gg. Everything will be linked down below, including another source that we'll be using in this video, which I'll get to in just a moment. So let me explain this website for a second. The reason as to why I like okizemi.gg so much is because when you're learning a character, one of the first things that you're supposed to do is go through the move list and kind of see what the character's moves look like. Getting familiar with the character's move list is one of the most important and crucial parts of removing the ambiguity of fighting characters. It's how you get rid of that mental stack of not knowing what's going to happen, and you can feel more consistent. If we choose Alyssa here for this example, since this is a character that I actually don't know very well at all, I never really faced them, and it's one of my least favorite matchups because I just don't like the character and I kind of want to learn her. So if we go and select Alyssa here, we can go and see listed the entirety, all of her moves with actual videos of what's going on. Apparently that one is just, I didn't even know that she had like a taunt like that. Look at that. But you can hover over the move, you can see the animation of the move, and it'll give you a bunch of properties about it. So it'll give you the startup frames, what it is on block, what is on hit, the hit level, so if it's a high, mid, or a low, the different properties. So for instance, this one can break walls, and then if there is any sort of counter hit property, it'll give you that. But since it says NA, obviously not available, that means that we don't have one. Now you might just be thinking, oh, okay, cool. It's just a website that catalogs all the moves, gives you a video to look at it, and then just gives you the actual information for the moves on paper so you can just look at them. That's pretty cool, but that doesn't seem anything super interesting. Oh, well, that's where I'm going to show you the best part about okizemi.gg that's going to speed up your learning so much. If you scroll all the way back up to the top up here, whenever you select any characters, you can apply filters, and this is where things get really good. Let's say, for instance, you want to figure out what moves are plus on block. What does Alyssa have that's plus on block that's stopping you so much? Well, we can hit plus on block frames, and it will give us all of the moves that are plus on block. There will not be a move listed in here that is not plus on block somehow. So you can go through and see all of her options. It's not a lot, it's actually only 16, including her stances as well. So this gives us a good idea and a good fundamental baseline of what we should be doing and what we should be looking out for. Because outside of, some of her chainsaw stance moves that are obviously going to be plus on block, you get moves like down forward 1-1 that's +1 on block, and also a high that you might not have known either of those. And because it's such a unique animation for down forward 1, it allows you to be able to look at these things and go, oh, okay, this is what I need to lab. Now, if you're trying to learn a character that you genuinely know absolutely nothing about, you're probably looking at these things up here that's like DBT1 or DES 1+2, and you're like, what the hell is that? I know that's probably a stance, but how am I supposed to know how to get into that stance if I want to learn the character? Well, that's where this other source comes into handy. The Tekken 8 library is a source that I have shilled for quite a bit because it genuinely gives you so much information to get you in the door. And with Okizemi filling in all of the holes for learning matchups that Tekken 8 library doesn't have, using these two in tandem to learn matchups is like a match made in heaven. So for instance, if we go back over to okizemi.gg and we look at DES, what is DES stance? Legend, right here. We got this on the right hand side, top right. If there is a stance, Tekken 8 library will show you what it is and give you the abbreviation that is most commonly used. And we can see right here, DES is down 1+2. So if you want to do DES 1+2, now you know it's down 1+2 into 1+2, and you can start learning that. Alright, so I went ahead and gone through dual boot and looked at some of the moves that I felt the most interesting, and if we go over to the save section, we can see all of the moves that I've saved so far. So I've already got the back 1+2 for the power crush that I want to lab, but I've got a couple of other things for dual boot that I really want to check out. We got dual boot 1, which is an I-24 startup, but I see a lot of people use this because it's +9 on block. We got dual boot forward 2-2 because it has a really unique, interesting animation, and I've got a couple of theory crafting ideas that I want to see if I can figure some stuff out with it. And then finally, we have dual boot 2-1 for the only factor of the fact that it says mid-mid, high, then a high. I'm really curious if it jails you and if you're able to duck after the first 2 mid. If not, well, then we weren't able to, but the best thing about labbing is figuring this kind of stuff out, and you'll never know unless you figure it out, right? Basically what I'm trying to say, if it wasn't for this website, you probably wouldn't have known that this move even existed, let alone that it's a mid, high string that has wall break, floor break, and it forces crouch, and is -11 on block only. With this website, it allows you to learn about these things that you never probably would have interacted with before, unless that like 1 in 1,000 chance that an Alyssa player that you run into, which at least in my region isn't very common, uses a move like this. It just doesn't seem super likely since I've never even seen it, or at least I can't remember seeing it. So we've got these couple of moves down, and the reason as to why I like to save these is because then it makes it very easy to find everything that I need in one concise spot, so I can go into the Tekken 8 training area and put everything into the training bot and just start practicing and labbing and figuring things out. However, before we do that, I have a couple more things that I want to talk about, a couple more move properties, a couple of other things that you want to look for when you're trying to learn how to fight against certain characters. There are certain properties of moves that you want to look for and certain things that people are just always going to be drawn to, that it's going to make it a lot easier for you learning these characters if you know universally what these moves are. Going back to database, we go to Alyssa here. Let me pull up my little notepad here. The things that I want to learn, especially when you're learning against stances for characters, is the fastest move in the stance is power crush if the stance has a power crush in the first place, counter hit launchers, or normal hit launchers. If there's multiple normal hit launchers, I would just try and take the one that you see the most common or the one that's the fastest. However, if there is also a counter hit launcher, I'd highly suggest checking that one out as well, because usually those ends in high, and usually those are moves that are to stop people pressing, which people we like to use in stance either way. Homing moves, so any move that tracks both sides. And then finally, grabs. However, if we look at Okizeme and we go to throws, it doesn't actually tell us the break unless we click on the move itself. So if you don't want to go through the effort of trying to click on specific moves and figure out how you're going to break them, we go back over to the Tekken 8 library, it'll give us right here the only command grabs that the character has. So anything else is going to be a generic that can be broken with 1 or 2. These are the only grabs that you need to worry about that are actual command break grabs. Again, another reason why having both Tekken 8 library and Okizeme.gg is an awesome source. Alright, so we've got a stance and a couple of moves we want to learn from the stance. We've got those fastest option from stances. We have a couple of homing moves that we want to learn about. We have some power crush property moves that we want to learn about. Let's go ahead and head into the lab and let me show you how I would start figuring out these moves. So we're in practice range now, and I went ahead and filled in just 6 slots of what I thought was some of the most important things that I wanted to learn. And when you're trying to learn specific characters, it's really important to have a goal in mind of what you're trying to learn. Especially with characters like Alyssa that excel in multiple different things, it's very important to know what are you trying to tackle. For this instance, the one thing that I'm trying to tackle is trying to understand dual boot, which is the main like rush forward chainsaw stance that Alyssa uses to get Oki pressure. The character's pretty confusing in general. I know that those of you who've played against Alyssa before, even if you know a little bit about her, knows that like getting knocked down by Alyssa and having to deal with the chainsaw Oki is really annoying. So it's the one thing that I wanted to focus on trying to learn, because it's what I think is the most important, because outside of that, I think I can mostly get around in Alyssa with my fundamentals. It's just the after Oki situation that stresses me out. So I've went ahead and taken her 4 most common moves, or 4 I'd imagine what is the most common moves, and I went ahead and put them onto the CPU opponent so I can go individually, just start watching them and seeing what each of them look like, what each of them do, the properties that they have, so I know in certain situations when I am safe to press, when I'm safe to walk, etc. One thing that's really interesting, I talked about this move before with Alyssa. I believe it's dual boot 2-1, this one. It's the move that's a mid-mid, then high, whatever it is. And the reason as to why I did this move specifically, even though I literally said in this video earlier on that I've never really seen many Alyssa players use this move, since it just doesn't really have that much utility compared to some of her other moves, is because I wanted to see if it jailed. And from how fast the move already goes, you could probably already assume that it doesn't, and you would be correct. I tried to duck that there. It's just not possible. Even if it's like a frame perfect duck, like you can't. It's just not possible. That move jails, which even though we didn't really find a direct counterplay against it, that's at least a piece of knowledge that I know now, that this is a mid-mid into a high string, so you cannot duck this, you will get hit by it. However, it is also a string that jails you and you cannot duck it after the first hit. Thought maybe there might have been some cool properties there, but it's a learning experience, and I wanted to show this error of me trying to learn this move in the first place so you guys can get the understanding that this is, again, my first time learning this character, and you're going to have a lot of moments like this when you're learning in the first place. There's nothing wrong with being like, I'm kind of lost. I don't know the point of this move. I don't know this. I don't know that. And if you really, really, really want to nail down learning a character even more, I highly, highly suggest going to Discords that are character-specific Discords and trying to get matches in with those characters. Don't want to join a Discord? Go to the Tekken Fight Lounge and go fight specific characters. You can now search by individual players and find where everybody is and stalk them and hunt them down and learn the matchups forcefully. I feel like that's the best way, other than just going into ranked and crossing your fingers hoping that you're going to get a character. That's the best way to learn characters. So my advice to you, use okizemi.gg. Find moves. Like I said, we want to figure out stances and the things that I said in the stances. So fastest move, power crush properties, counter hit and launching moves, and homing moves. Those are the 5 things or 4 things that we want to focus on. And in general, you want to figure out what the normal standing launchers of a character are, their grabs if they have any, what homing moves they have, and if they're high, mids, or lows, and honestly, just about anything else that you feel like you need to learn. If you don't understand Kazuya's 1-1 and you keep getting beat by this move over and over and over again, hop into lab, figure it out. It's -1, you know that you'll be able to press after it. It's a high, so you know you'll be able to duck it, and even though it's a 1-1 and leaves you at -1, you can sidewalk it pretty decently to the left, even though I just walked to my right. Don't say anything. This wasn't really supposed to be a character-specific guide, but more specifically showing you this amazing tool and how I would plan to use it, and how I'm definitely going to continue to use it. That's why I didn't really show a lot of me doing specific things against Alyssa. The whole point of the video more or less was showing you guys this video and what you can use, so everything that I was showing with Alyssa was more of a demonstration. Don't take that as a, okay, I'm going to only go learn these things and be perfectly fine. This is not an anti-Alyssa guide, not at all. It's just completely an example and absolutely nothing more. Let me know down below in the comment section below, guys, and seriously, thank you so much for stopping by. I cannot wait to see you guys in the next video, and keep in mind, I stream every Wednesdays and Saturdays, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so if this is a Saturday upload, I might be live. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Anyways, guys, that's gonna be it for me. Thank you so much. You guys have a great rest of your night. Bye.